Greetings, Cleveland, and welcome to Creative Focus, the show that illuminates some of Cleveland's most talented and creative artists across the genres of dance, film, music, theater, and visual arts. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III, and I'm thrilled to have as my guest today on Creative Focus, straight out of the ATL, producer, director, performer, Miss Crystle Paynther. Crystle, welcome to Creative Focus, girl. Let's chop it up.
Yes, I can't wait. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I'm honored that you were in town. So what happened was I had Devin, our friend Devin V. Collins, super producer, on.
Yes.
And he told me that you had moved to Atlanta, and then when I heard that you were coming back to Cleveland, I was like, man, I got to get her on the show. She blowing up all over. Shooting Stars, LeBron's movie, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's get on some other details. So now tell me, how long have you been in Atlanta now?
I kind of snuck out in October of last year. And I say snuck out because I had really been contemplating moving to Georgia for years.
Okay.
And it was when Karis was going to college, I'm like, what better time to be closer to her?
Right.
Because she's now in
Louisiana.
At Southern.
Yeah.
So it's it's a drive. I can drive from Atlanta to Southern. So that kind of just sped up the process of moving. And it's been a good move.
So you remember how we met?
I do remember how we met.
How?
You were the only person that I knew, because I moved here from LA in 97, 93.
Okay.
So I was seeking, after I had kids, I was seeking a place that they can actually learn acting and do arts and be a part of it. You were the first person that I found that was working with kids, working with our youth, creating your own plays and stuff. So I don't even know if someone referred me to you or if I just found you. I don't remember how, but I remember calling you up. Like, hey, you do plays, you work with kids? And he was like, yeah. I said, I have a daughter, I want to get involved. You said, bring her on up. So that's what we did.
So, and you remember, we brought her in, and she really didn't have no lines at first, but she was so good that we gave her actually
you created
lines.
Some lines for her.
And she owes me big time because, The Mighty Scarabs, I actually changed that play for her because the original version of the play, the daughter, Gabby, was 16. But this child, your child, was so talented. I said, you know what? I'm going to change it for her. Had the world premiere at Caramoo, and the rest is like history.
That play was everything.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! And then since then, you have the book that was published. That was an amazing experience. So I'm thinking she must have been 12?
I think she was 10 or 11. No,
okay.
She might have been younger because remember then the Obama Theater called me and said, hey, we need a guy, a young man, a young African-American boy to play a Civil War Christmas. And I said, I don't have any guys, but I got a really talented girl. And they was like, nah, we need a guy. Well, I guess they couldn't find anyone. So Nathan called me back. And Nathan was like, well, let's try her out. She nailed that part, man. So,
yeah, I think the original person or character for that kid was Jessie.
Yeah.
They changed it to Jessa.
Yeah.
So all kudos to you and your connections and getting her on board.
Oh, no, she's just a talented child. So where do you think all that artistic inspiration comes from in your case?
For me, it was definitely growing up in California. Growing up in California, having elementary schools gear their field trips to studios and prop rooms. And, it was really intriguing and exciting for me, seeing how they created sound just on a stage. And, all of that was just so intriguing. And I just remember seeing that and like, dang, I want to be a part of it. So not only was I so in tune with the Cosbys and everything else that really, made a mark in our lives as Black men and women, boys and girls, but those type of production aspects of it like really got to me. And I knew that when I'm not acting, that's the reason why I'm actually on the production side, because I love the business of filmmaking.
So prior to the show, I was watching you in an interview with this guy, and I can't remember his name, but you were talking about how you went to the studio and you saw how they had they were making the noises with the horses.
Yes.
Talk about that. That
oh
was
my
fascinating.
gosh. And that was an interview with Ace and acting
Right,
talented.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Ace. So it was like one of the studios that I want to say Paramount, whatever studio it was. We were the students were the audience,
Okay.
and they were just kind of teaching us the different job parts in the film industry. Of course, very rare. None of them looked like me and you.
Right.
So it was like these men that were creating the sound, and it was acoustic sound out of the whole theater. And he was just galloping across one room of the stage to the next with these horseshoes, and it was surround sound, and it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know, nowadays it might be a machine doing it, but
Right.
it was just
Right.
him physically.
Right, exactly.
And I was just like amazed.
Yeah, that's an amazing story.
It was amazing to see.
So we worked together on a project
So many
with our
projects.
boy Devin, my frat brother Devin V.
And my
Collins,
mentor and
your
good
mentor,
friend, yes.
Sterling. Talk about that production.
Man, do you remember how Sterling came about?
I remember me and you fighting over the title because I wanted the title to be The Czar of the Free Stamp. And you kept saying, this is not a play, it's a film. And you know, you can't use that title. And you know how stubborn I am. And I was like,
Right, you
then
fought me.
then finally I agreed to do the Sterling.
And I
And we
think it's
actually
the perfect-
shot it at the Free Stamp and
Yeah.
in the mayor's conference room.
Yes.
In his lunchroom.
Oh, that was his lunchroom?
Yeah, because we got the
Sheesh, that
red
was
room,
huge.
and then what we call we call it the dining area. Then
That movie, oh my gosh, that short film. I just remember saying, Cal, I want to do something.
Right,
I
yeah,
want to
I
produce
remember that.
something.
Yeah.
And you've always been right there for me, so I appreciate it. You wrote something, and you were like, let's do it. Put it together and let's do it.
Yeah.
So
and it was beautiful, except for fighting over the title.
Fighting over
You
the
said,
title.
It's not going to work, you know.
And that was very minor compared to some things that people fight over in film.
And then you know, of course, we had your daughter in there. You know,
Had to put
my
her in
daughter.
there.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest challenge for me for that was doing so much. You know, as independent
Right,
filmmakers,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
wearing many hats, boy.
Yeah.
And I think I called a couple family members in and help direct with the
Right,
the extras.
Right, that's just
had-
because we had the people dressed like homeless.
Yeah,
homeless people
we
out
filled
on the
that
free
park
stamp.
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
we had a lot.
Yeah, you had. Yeah, we sent out a
casting notice.
call, and we had like 30 people.
We had a
out there.
nice crowd. Yeah, bike riders,
Right, everything.
and all of those people had to be put in motion, like
Right.
what to do. So that, as well as me trying to learn my lines to be as good as you, to work hand in hand with you, and then making sure that my daughter was dressed and ready, and then
Yeah.
myself dressed
Yeah,
and ready.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
a lot for
yeah.
me. You know, being the producer as well as the actor and the casting and all that
Mhm.
stuff. But we made it happen, and it was
And
excellent.
Devin was incredible.
Oh
too.
my gosh.
Devin was
Always
incredible.
hands on,
Yeah.
always right there, on point. I think we all just kept each other well grounded and made it work.
And I got a clip of Sterling I want to
Do
show.
you?
Yeah, I got a clip. I got a
Let's see it.
surprise.
Yes.
Let's take a look at Sterling,
Okay.
produced by Crystle Paynther.
Written and directed by
Oh, excuse me.
Calhoun.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
the
Let's
third,
take-
Cornell Calhoun the third.
Let's take a look.
So what's your new play about?
Living life on your own terms.
Mom says life is what you make it.
Mommy's so original.
Hey, Paradise, let's get going. Let me talk to him.
You could have said gentlemen.
I could have.
Good luck. He's having one of his days.
Get here on time tomorrow, midget.
You know, I'm not bringing her here tomorrow.
You should just tell her the truth.
Tell her the truth. She doesn't need to know.
She needs to know so she'll understand. She needs to know so she'll understand that love and marriage don't mean much.
Here you go. If you're referring to Mom, she just needed a friend, a companion. You gave her gifts, gave her money, things, but you never gave her your time. You never gave her you. That's what she wanted. That's what she wanted most. You know, with you, it was all about the next play, audition, rehearsal. You lived for opening nights, critics, awards. You only gave her fleeting moments of time. What did you expect her to do? She was lonely. Lonely with those things, lonely without you. What did you expect her to do?
Fit in.
Fit in where?
Fit in the world I created for. How a person fits in, how a person fits in the world is all that matters. Going through life together, performing together as one through thick and thin, no matter what happens. When the world stops spinning, you step off.
He didn't mean anything to her. He was just a friend.
He of all people.
He was always around.
That was clearly a sign.
He was there when you couldn't be there.
Fools rush in.
They talked. He was able to make her laugh.
He seized the opportunity.
Oh, that's how you see it?
That's how I see it.
How's your next play coming?
"80 pages if typed, I guess.
Okay, then what?
On to the next play.
That's it?
That's the way of the world, my sweet.
So you just gonna live out here right in front of this free stamp?
Every day is a new experience. Every day brings a new horizon. No point of going back to what was. The only thing that matters to me now is my freedom.
Your freedom? What about your family? What about me? What about your granddaughter? We had the perfect life once. You were the best father a girl could ever ask for. And a great husband to Mom at one time. When you were the drama teacher, before Playhouse, before Broadway, before all your Tony Awards. What about Mom? She misses you. She loves you.
Yeah, that was a great short film. Won 3 or 4 awards. What do you think separates you from other producers? I mean, if I wanted to have a film produced, why should I select Crystle Paynther?
For me, it's about really, really digging into what the executives and what the director's goal is. So I give over and beyond the percentage needed to make that happen in every way, shape, or form. Whatever you say as the director, this is my vision, my goal is to make that vision come true, you know, in a creative way. I think now it's about being artistic, you know, your creativity with filmmakers, because right now everybody's picking up a cell phone and creating a movie. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's about really bringing other elements to it to make it look good as well as entertaining.
Do you have a preference, producing or acting? Because I know you're so good at both. And what's ironic, I thought you always were a producer, because when I met you, that's what you were doing, casting, producing. I didn't even know about the acting until later on. And then I'm like, this girl can act.
I think I remember saying, Kathy, I want to do something.
Yeah, right, you did. I want to act. You know?
I was watching all your plays. I'm like, I think I'm ready to get back out there. So what happened for me was moving here from California after high school. It wasn't a lot of opportunity for film, you know, acting and film. So I went to theater. I started at the Calhoun House and took classes. But ironically enough, I'm leaving Hollywood to now practice, you know, what has been going on, you know, in Hollywood now. In Cleveland was kind of backwards, but that's just how it happened for me. But that was always what I wanted to do. Always my passion. My dream was to act. And so with the skills that I gained from the stage, kind of led to doing a little independent film, but it wasn't a whole lot back then, independent filmmaking. So then I went to broadcasting school because that was the closest to some acting. I was thinking about news broadcasting. So from there, there was like a news strike or something they were doing, so that kind of halted that. And then more and more movies started to come to Cleveland. And I started working behind the scenes because they were already doing all the casting before they get to Cleveland, which is somewhat what still happens today.
Right.
But it was like Welcome to Collinwood, the boxing one with Meg Ryan and Omar Epps that they filmed here. I forget the name of that. But I just found myself assisting like Marcy Ronan in casting and doing things behind the scenes because that's where the opportunities were. But my passion has always been in front of the camera.
So if you had a dream character to play, who would she be?
A dream character.
A dream character.
You know, I love faith-based films. If I can emulate and portray a character that is showing, like Toxic was similar to it, but showing someone, a Black woman's life in her journey to becoming closer to God, and how that change affects her whole life and her family and her friends' life around her, would be something like that.
So what do you enjoy about performing? I mean, what gives you that, rush, would you say?
Lights, camera, action. No, I think it's just being able to step out of my own self and, portray someone that's different and unlike who I really am as a person. I love to do that. I love to gravitate to someone else's lifestyle and be able to show the world in an educating or entertaining way.
So let's talk about this recent project that you did, this all Rise. Shooting Stars. You worked on the Shooting Stars film, the LeBron film, Shooting Stars, and it was shot in primarily Akron, Cleveland, or?
More so in Cleveland.
More so in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Because I know it was shot at South High School, because I used to coach there. I coached the girls at South High, so I was really close, to I love coaching at South High School. So talk about that. Talk about that project. Did you see LeBron at all, or?
Did not see LeBron. He was one. I don't think he didn't come on set at all while we shot, while the production was being filmed from beginning to end. Okay. But a lot of the other players did. A lot of the Fab Five, they all came at one point in another to see. But I started out as a production assistant, and that's where I kind of started my career from the beginning. Okay. Assisting in different areas of film. So I started as an office PA, which was a really, really good way to start for any other actors that want to get involved, because you're meeting execs. I'm in the office, I'm walking by the director, I'm walking by the executive producers.
Who was the director of Shooting Stars?
Chris Robinson.
Okay, Chris Robinson. Okay.
He directed he started out in music videos. Okay. And ATL was one of his movies. So he's done a lot.
And then your son CJ Collins was actually in the film.
He was cast to play Lil Drew's stand-in. Okay. Double. Okay. So he's there as the cameras are setting up. He got to experience that. That was his first opportunity. And then as background, he's still a kid and learning. So it was a good opportunity for him.
He got so tall because I don't know if you remember this, but when I used to do Food Truck Friday, I used to use that photo of him to promote Food Truck Friday. Yes. Remember that photo where he's standing there? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they did your B&M commercial. Remember all the kids?
Yeah, they did do the B&M. I forgot all about that. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, you put that together, and I got the kids together, and he was probably like.
So what's CJ doing now?
CJ is enjoying Atlanta. He's embracing the whole filmmaking process. He does not like the auditioning process, because nowadays it's like he's memorizing all these sides. So he doesn't like that, but he enjoys being on set. He's been on the set of Tyler Perry's show, Young Dylan, which is a Nickelodeon show. And he's like one of the 15 core kids in the classroom when they shoot the school scenes. He did a film background working directly with Tank. And that was directed by Robin Givens. So that's a Christmas movie coming out. He's been busy. And he's learning.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So do you think growing up in Cleveland, Akron influenced your artistic expertise?
I think so.
And if so, how do you think it did?
And so it's weird because my childhood is LA and then my adulthood is Akron, Cleveland. When I moved to Akron, not much was going on. So when I went to learn acting I just came directly to Cleveland. This is where it was for me. So my film family, my drama family is Cleveland, So I think that the influence was definitely stepping out of where the opportunities were to be a part of, where it wasn't, which may allow me to shoot for it more. You know what I mean? I had to work at it a little bit harder because it wasn't the opportunities there, and also led to the creating and being a part of other people's creativity.
You were in, you had the lead in such an important film, short film, that actually during Black History Month, it was shown in the City Hall Rotunda, Toxic.
Yes.
Just a powerful film directed by
Right.
Devin
None
Collins.
other than our Devin Collins.
We might as well just had him on the show.
Right. Where you at, Dev?
Talk about that experience and why that was such an important film. It's done so well too.
Thank you. That's Devin. And that film meant so much. I learned a lot, which was another, going back to being able to portray roles that I know that's not related to who I am. I learned a lot about infant mortality in another way, you know what I mean? And that's what that film kind of was based on, the racial disparities, the racial bias that leads to us Black women losing our babies, you know what I mean?
Right.
So since that movie, and I tell you, it's all about the director bringing those things out of you, but it was also me having firsthand access to those women that actually experienced it, what I had to portray, so listening to those, because it was a whole focus group that was prepared to have their stories, that I was able to listen to right before the delivery process. And, in the movie, I was able to listen and ask for the headphones, and the producer, Chris, was able to give me that opportunity because I wanted to bring and make it so real, you know what I mean, to where I could really feel it
You did.
and show it. And I became a true advocate after that for, educating women on infant mortality and the stressors of life that can lead to it, because I had no idea. It's like anything that can cause us stress can be a part of us losing our kids, and at a much higher rate than white women. So it's a lot.
So what do you think the challenges were for you in making that film? What challenges would you say?
I think maybe the biggest challenge was that, listening and learning about all those women, and how real their stories were. Like, Cal, some of those stories just blew me back, and I got to meet these women as well. So it was like, and they're still, wearing their T-shirts with their baby's picture, right after birth that didn't make it. So, it just made it so real. I think that it's somewhat of a challenge, but somewhat of also motivation to be great in that role of Nina. But I think that was, probably the only. Yeah, it was so well produced. It was so well directed. That it really wasn't.
It was so well acted.
Thank you.
I've got a clip of you and my buddy Mike Head in this scene. We're going to show you a clip of the award-winning film Toxic, Crystle Paynther and Michael Head. Check this out, folks. I was so moved by that film, and not only because I knew several of the performers, but it's just a great film. Yeah. We actually we didn't show that clip. We showed the trailer when Devin was here. What's going on with the film now? Do you know?
Well, I know that it's doing very well. I get screenshots. I get screenshots all the time. When you played it here in Cleveland, someone screamed, "Oh, your film is playing." Right. I'm like, "Oh, okay," because it's just taking a path of its own. You know, I don't even know when it's filming in other states until someone tells me, but I know that it is definitely doing what it's supposed to as far as making a difference in our health facilities. It has been mandated to educate physicians, you know, on things that they may not be aware that they're doing, or dismissing the pain of us that they may not be aware of, to make it more real to them to make changes. So I do know that it is taking a life of its own, and doing very well.
Yeah, it was an incredible performance, you know.
Thank
You just surprised me at every turn, because, you know, you also was in a film with our buddy Johnny Woo.
Johnny Woo.
Johnny Woo.
Yes.
He was in that film with the code. I was looking at the code and you was doing all that karate and everything. I was like, who is this girl? I better not mess with her no more. Talk about the code and working with Johnny Woo.
Johnny Woo was amazing. We both know he is amazing.
Johnny Woo.
Digitally, creatively.
Johnny Woo.
Johnny. Yeah, it was really nice to work with him, and Keith as well. So Keith is the one that called me. Keith Collins, another Collins, called me to see if he heard that I did some karate. Okay. And I did. I don't even know how he got that. But I hadn't studied martial arts since I lived in LA. Inglewood.
You wouldn't know it though.
I know. Well,
they just came back to you, or
Keith, we prepared for that for over a year before shooting. So Keith brought me. He said, "I want to bring you in. You know, see what you know," and he did. I went in and did some kicking, and it was like I never stopped. You know.
This is just fascinating, you doing that kicking. But we have a clip of Crystle doing her thing in Immortal Combat, The Code by Johnny Woo.
Johnny Woo.
Let's take a look.
Okay.
No. He's meditating. He can't be moved.
You've got to be kidding me. So be it.
Cloud stays with us. There's a reason the doc didn't give your men the code.
So you shot that in December?
Mm-hmm. That particular scene, especially, yeah, it was cold. It was snow elements. It was different. Of course, all those different takes. Yeah, it was. We were reminded it was December.
And about how many were in that cast? What, roughly, ballpark?
Well, we have 5 elements. I played water. And then, of course, it was a lot of different other. It was a large cast. At least over 40 main cast members. You know, so it was a lot of fight choreography that we had to plan for and learn. So it was pretty challenging.
So, what's your next project? What can we expect from you in the future?
You can expect Crystle to be. I'm assistant directing for Brian Barry's new film called Car Show. So that's in pre-production right now.
Devin's working on that.
Devin is also DP on that. So
we gonna have to. He gonna have to give us some money for all this shout out.
All this is a lot of shout out.
Yeah.
Seriously. No, so that's in the works, definitely. And then who knows, as far as my acting, what I'm going to be doing there, because I'm still looking for the next opportunity. But I am manifesting being on a television show that I'm so in love with. It's called Wicked City. I don't know if you know about it, but I love that show.
And that airs on what channel, do you know?
All Black.
Oh, All Black
It is on
channel.
All Black, and I
Okay.
just fell in love with it. You know, I did a film, a Harry Potter fan base film,
Mm-hmm.
and this show, Wicked City, is dealing with witches, black witches, 5 black witch girlfriends. And they all have different powers.
Okay.
And
So
I gotta be on that show.
it's based in Atlanta?
They film in Atlanta.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
good luck.
Vanessa Bell Calloway, thank you. She's
We're
one
from
of the
Cleveland. Yeah.
From Cleveland.
Cleveland and Caramel.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So I've been wanting to work with her for so many years, and she's the executive producer of that show. So I'm gonna manifest that.
Man, yeah, you got to make a connection with that, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But hey, thanks for being on the show. It was
Thanks
a
so much for
blast.
having me. Anytime.
Blast. We're going to send Devin an invoice.
Definitely, Calhoun. I love you. This is
Thank you. I
great.
love you back. I'd like to thank my special guest, Crystle Paynther, for hanging out with us today on Creative Focus. So that's it, Cleveland. We're out. But remember, a true artist who's not only inspired, but inspires others. I'm Cornell Calhoun for TV 20 and Creative Focus. Until the next time becomes our time, be well, be safe.